The 1-4 New York Giants will host the 2-3 Philadelphia Eagles this Thursday night in a crucial NFC East match that could decide, well, it probably won't decide, who will finish first this year in the division. Right now, all the teams are struggling. The Redskins are in first place at 2-2. Dallas is 2-3. Philadelphia is 2-3, and the Giants are 1-4. So this game will put the team that wins out of the cellar and the team that loses into the cellar of the NFC East. With me today, as always, is my good friend and longtime colleague from NYG-CAR, Craig Santucci, and we're going to bring him in a second, but let me warn you, this is going to be a very heated exchange because of what happened last week in Carolina with the Giants. There's a lot going on, so enjoy the show. Craig.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good. What's going on, man? I haven't talked to you in a while, and there's a lot of news out there, a lot of crazy storylines. It's just been such a nutty year. I don't even know where to start. What have you been doing?
I've been probably doing the same thing you are, chasing a lot of Giant stories, rumors, tweets, everything just flying around with, 3 or 4 weeks since we talked. There's just been storyline after storyline from early on, Davis Webb getting cut to Eli being washed up all the way to today with Flowers being let go.
Yeah. The end of Eric Flowers, which I think his end came when they benched him. I pretty much knew that they were going to ditch him, but, there's a financial end to it. They don't get a lot of cap relief out of it because he's on a rookie contract and, that's all guaranteed. So there's no... the dead money is pretty much what he's getting paid.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact figures. Some of the guys came out with it before. It doesn't really matter in season anyway, because people they kind of futz with the cap anyway in season. They don't really have to be under the cap technically.
Well,
all the time.
let's be honest. This move is an attitude adjustment.
Well, yeah, it's a culture change. I mean, this guy's sitting there sulking. Basically, you can just see it on his face. He's sulking. He's not playing. He's sulking when he is playing, and he's sucking when he's playing. So,
yeah,
you tell me if you see a guy who has zero growth over a 4-year stretch like this guy had.
What drives me crazy is that there's these moments in time that kind of stick with you when you follow a franchise. And I can remember that draft, and when they were analyzing, whether you like, the Kuipers and the McShays of the world, doesn't matter. They put a lot of homework into these players. Whether they played the game or not, they put a ton of, analysis behind it. And I clearly remember them saying that he was a mauler with no technique and relies on strength to succeed. Like right there, it should have rang the bell that, maybe this guy isn't the right fit, not only for the Giants, but as the first pick in the draft. I don't know what number was that?
He was ninth.
9. Okay. Yeah. So, the 9th pick in the draft, and you're already telling me he's got really bad technique and he relies on strength and he's a mauler. Like, it just goes right back to the Jerry Reese thing. You and I have known you for...
And he wasn't either. He wasn't a mauler either. I don't know where that came from.
Well, in college, I guess he just used his brute strength to toss around half-assed defensive ends and tight ends. But, defensive ends and guards. But, like you mentioned before, he had a bad attitude for a long period of time. He never got any better. And it just goes back to what you and I have been saying for a very long time. I've known you for, 10 plus years. Jerry Reese, stick a round peg in a square hole.
Yeah.
Try to coach a guy up instead of just getting the right guy from jump.
Yeah, it was a project. The problem I had with him is he didn't have an agent. And when you're going to be a top 10 pick in the draft and you're represented by your father, that has Todd Marinovich written all over it. It does.
Wow.
I mean, you can't. The guy's getting bad advice on top of not being a good player at all. I had a friend of mine who was a boxer, and his father was his manager, and he was setting fights up for the guy, and telling him, "Oh yeah, you're going to fight Mike Tyson." He almost got there too. He almost got to fight Mike Tyson. Instead, they went with that guy McNeely. But the thing is that this guy would have fought Mike Tyson. He would have got killed because he
Yeah.
wasn't a boxer.
Yep.
And the father was setting him up with a bunch of patsies, making him look good. And then, the next thing you know, he got knocked out by an old wash-up heavyweight who was on crack, who had just been gotten out of jail like 2 days before. He was arrested for crack possession. And he beat the crap out of this kid. He hit him like twice, and that was the end of the fight. And, that's what happens when you get bad advice. So
And by the way,
this year he had Drew Rosenhaus, and that didn't help him. I think the cows were out of the barn on this, but,
Well, yeah, it goes way back to the fact that the Giants scouts somehow must have had their head up there, to even put him in a conversation.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's just, again, I'm sure they're all wonderful guys, but come on, people. Like, how do we keep, missing? We're getting up to the plate and missing. And you can't get up to the plate. We were talking, as we started the show, I was kind of sketching out the top 10, 11,
While he's talking about Flowers, let me just remind you of one thing.
Yeah.
Who the pick right after him was in that draft?
Was it Sheriff?
It was Todd Gurley.
Oh, it was Gurley. It's right. Oh, man.
See, so if you're drafting talent, you say this is the best player on the board. What board is that?
It's
this
funny
guy's
because
ahead of Todd Gurley, even though Todd Gurley was coming off a knee injury.
Well, I was going to say is that like left tackles, like you usually draft them, as a, maybe your second or third best position on the team, and running backs have been pushed down a little bit, and maybe the knee injury, maybe held the Giants back. But I mean, okay, so who goes after Gurley? I got to look it up, but there's got to be someone in that draft that was more of a can't miss than Flowers.
Well, Andrus Peat was also a first round pick. He's with the Saints. He was the kid out of Stanford. But, he's gotten hurt a lot, too. I mean, he's been okay. I think he's been better than Flowers, but, who hasn't?
Yeah, right.
But, then it was Marcus Peters. I wrote something up about it today on USA Today. It's out there. Who was taken after Landon Collins was the Giants' second round pick. So he's a better pick than Flowers, obviously.
Yeah, without a doubt. And
Collins should have been a first round pick, but, he wasn't.
He could have been, right? It would have been close, sure. Right? I was the Patriots drafted last that year. I was certain they were going to take him.
Right. I think they took who was it? Malcolm Brown, somebody like that. A defensive lineman they took.
Yeah.
And they left Flowers to the top of the second, and Tennessee had the first pick. The Giants flipped with them, and they took Collins. I mean, that was a great move for them, even though Collins had a lousy game the other day, but.
Yeah, I think he's also in a really bad spot. I mean, I'm not going to defend his play, but like we as fans or analysts expect Collins to be like Superman, and he's playing with a really crummy free safety next to him. So you're expecting him to, we got two average outside linebackers playing the game, and they're each 35 years old. So you're expecting Collins to be the free safety, the strong safety, and an in-the-box linebacker. So. Yep. I do, you see the tweets or whatever. Like, I don't know. I can't really kill Collins for pretty much anything because he gives everything on every play. And the expectations are too high. He's like playing three positions at one time.
Yeah, that's an issue. I think they're still learning that defense. And, he has his own version of what he wants to do. And he's basically has a responsibility. I think a lot of times he leaves the responsibility because he's saying, well, this guy's not going to make this play, so I better get over there instead of staying home where he should have been because he's the strong safety, he's not the free safety.
Correct. Yeah, he's making up for the free safety who's terrible too.
He had a pick, Curtis Riley. I mean,
he
had a couple of good plays, but even a blind squirrel finds nuts. But I think he's getting better.
He's terrible at angles. He is terrible.
He takes very bad angles. You're right.
I mean, it's atrocious, the angles that. And you know what? He came up as a cornerback, so maybe that's his problem.
Yeah, he's learning. Here's the other thing. They have guys out there that are just learning. I mean, that to me, you got to get guys that play the position, that understand the position. And I think that's why they signed Kareem Martin and Josh Morrow, because they understood James Betcher's defense a little bit. And they're both playing okay. I mean, Morrow had a pretty decent game for his first game.
Yeah.
Martin has looked pretty good at times. I mean, he's limited. I mean, he's too big to be a linebacker, and he can't cover pass receivers.
And he has a trouble setting the edge on anybody who wants to pop that outside.
Yeah, he's not as quick. He couldn't get a Darren Sproles or an Alvin Kamara if they were coming at him.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no
I
way
mean,
he'd do that.
Morrow could be a nice wild card. I'm kind of interested to see, because
He's a pretty good player. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I've seen film of him. I liked what he could do. I mean, he brings a lot to the table. He's a rotational guy, so he's not going to play every down, but he's going to go out there and give somebody a breather, and you're not going to lose much.
Which it brings up an interesting point, because we're segueing a little bit here, from Flowers to Collins, and now we're talking about Morrow. Listen, our starting defensive end is Kerry Wynn, who's playing great ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Morrow can do it or he can't, but I hope OV never comes back. So I'm fine with it. I mean, he's wasted nothing but time and money, Vernon.
Yep.
So for all
it's a shame. I don't think he's wasted it. I think he's just had some unfortunate luck there with a high ankle sprain is a legit injury.
It is, and I don't want to downplay it, but I got some static on Twitter for last Sunday. I'm sitting in the stadium, and they were doing a tribute video on the board with Mark Bavaro. The guy broke his jaw in the game. They sent him out, and he got his jaw wired. He never missed a game or a snap. This guy's got a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, they can't do that in this league anymore. They won't let you do it.
No, but the premise was, I don't know, the guy's got $80 million. I'd be living in a hyperbaric chamber. I'd be getting massage. I'd be doing anything I can to get on the field, and it's all I see is the guy on a stationary bike, so I'm kind of over him.
Yeah, it's disappointing. And, he's disappointed too. And, the Giants, he played so well in training camp and in the preseason that they thought they had something with him, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt. And, now they're scrambling. Although Wynn is playing very well. B.J. Hill is playing well.
That's why I'm hoping Morrow gets some additional snaps.
I don't understand why they keep giving up 30 points every game, but, if the defense is so good.
Well, yeah, that goes back to the other side of the ball, is you gotta pin the defense back. I mean, the offense gets some really great field position because our special teams suck.
Well, no, I did something on this week. We have a very good special teams. The kickoffs either go to the 25 or as a touchback, or the average return is only for 17 yards.
Okay.
So, the punts are another thing. I think the Riley Dixon's doing a good job. He's pinning people back. I think the field position, I've got to look it up now, field position isn't bad. The defense, has a lot of real estate behind them. They're just giving it up. They still give up big swaths of real estate over the middle, the tight ends. And, when they do those zone clear-out plays, they're suckers for that every time. They still are.
Which kills me, is because Zach Ertz will literally own you on Thursday night if they don't pick up that middle zone.
They have another tight end, too, now, Philly. The rookie, Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
Not as they say he's like an Ertz clone. I don't think so. I think he's a little bigger than Ertz, maybe. I don't think he's as good a receiver, but
no, he doesn't run
as good. There's not too many that are.
Yeah, he doesn't run as good as Ertz.
Yeah, so
but
he can catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, at 240 pounds, Ertz can catch and run the ball. I don't know if the kid can run as good as Ertz, but either way, if you don't have somebody like you were talking about, Collins kind of freelancing a little bit in the middle of the field, or if these guys can't pick up the tight end, it'll be a long day, because they're notorious for being tight end heavy.
The linebackers that they have, Goodson and this guy, Ray Armstrong, is probably the best guy they have against the pass, and that's not saying a whole lot. Ogletree does not play the pass very well.
He's having a good year, but you're right. He doesn't drop like you'd like him to.
He doesn't defend the pass, but if a guy catches the ball, he'll tackle But the problem is the guy catches the ball 15
Though
yards.
though he did have that real nice interception 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, there are plays where they but the thing is they're not playing clutch defense. Late in games. Early in games, they're playing great. They're keeping teams out of the end zone, holding them to field goals, stopping drives, forcing punts. But the second half, and it's not because they're losing the time of possession. The time of possession is pretty much even. It's just that I guess they just don't have enough depth in the back seven. I think that's what it is.
That's what I was just going to ask you. What do you think it is? I mean, because I want to point the finger at the at the nickel or the dime, the slot. Like I want to point the finger there, but you tell me. Like, where do you think the weakness is? Because outside of Apple and Jenkins and Collins, when you bring in a nickel or a dime, it seems like we're getting torched.
Well, the pass rush isn't there. That's the first thing. When you talk about building a defense, you talk about getting the quarterback, and they don't do that at all. They're last in the league in sacks. They're tied with Oakland. I think they have 6.
Yeah,
that's not good. And then quarterback hits and pressures, they don't have a lot of those either. So, and they're playing quarterbacks like Drew Brees and, Dak Prescott. I mean, Dak Prescott will kill you.
Yep.
He's not great, but if you give him 8 seconds to throw, he's going to give himself 4 seconds. You're going to give him another 4 because you can't get him.
Blake Bortles will beat you if you give him time.
Blake Bortles, yeah. And, you had Deshaun Watson, but they managed to beat him. He, I don't know how, but because he plays pretty well. I guess he's coming back from injury. He's not quite 100% yet, but hey, they won that game. I'm not going to worry about that. And then this past week, they had the same issues again. They weren't hitting the quarterback, and you have to be able to do that.
I think
Cam Newton. Cam Newton gets sacked on the average, I would say 3 times a game because he moves around so much. If he stayed in the pocket, he probably wouldn't get sacked, but he likes to move around.
Yeah, and the lineman can't find him.
If you get him behind the line of scrimmage, technically it's a sack, even if it's not in the pocket. If he's not running, okay, if he rolls out and is stationary and you sack him and you tackle him behind the line, that's a sack. So that's why he has so many sacks. But still, they did sack him. I mean, they got to him a little bit, but it's not gonna bother him.
No, and there's also the other side of the ball. I'm a big momentum guy. I mean, the Giants' offense starts off so slow, and then you wind up getting the defense on the field a whole lot. If you don't have the depth and you don't have the roster, they're going to wear out. They're not going to make plays after a while. Like the offense comes out so slow, and then all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball. You're calling bad plays. Like I like Shermer, and not a huge fan of Shula, but their offensive game plans have not been stellar. They constantly look out coached, or at least they look I don't want to say deer in the headlights, but I mean, you just ask yourself, hey guys, you realize you're down 10, you're down 17, like you actually need to put something out here that's going to score points. So I don't know if they just start slow, because they're new working together, but it definitely shows on the field because it reminds me of a lot of McAdoo sometimes.
Yeah, that the issue is that the offensive line doesn't have the surge in a running game. And you need that. You definitely need them to block better for the run. They're still not doing it very well. And every team knows that. Teams are still stacking the box a little bit on them. You have 5 guys trying to block 7 every play. It's a little difficult. Sometimes they do open holes, but the second level guy is right there. Plugs up the hole. Barkley bounces outside. That's what saves them. Barkley, has the improvisational skills to just bounce outside. That's where he gets his yardage. You never see him run straight up the middle of the field. Never.
He's getting better at it, though. He was the first 2 games.
Well, there's nowhere to go. That was my point.
Yeah.
He has to do that.
He's got to learn that, this is the NFL, not to bounce it outside every play. But he's getting a little bit better, and Will Hernandez is coming along a little bit.
Yeah, it'll get better. I'm sure it will, but, so far through 5 games, hasn't been good at all.
I mean, I think he's fifth in the NFL in rushing.
Yeah.
So that's not so bad for a kid, with his first time, out of the gate. And he looks good as a pass, catcher. So, he comes as advertised. He's a little heavy on the home run hits, but for an offense that doesn't score a lot of points, I don't know. We really can't complain about. I mean, he's like the least of our worries right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me ask you. I don't want to spend all day, talking about the offensive line because that is all day.
It's a black hole.
The comments that Odell Beckham made the other day, I think he did it a while ago, in that interview that he did with Josina Anderson and the rapper Lil Wayne for, I guess it was ESPN. I'm not sure. What do you think that will do to the psyche of this team, or do you think nothing will happen? I don't think it'll do much. I think it's already done, over and done with.
I agree. I give him credit. Well, two things actually. The first thing is that this isn't the first time he's given an interview to that reporter.
Right. She kind of follows him around.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
She
I think she doesn't do him any favors.
No, she doesn't.
I think that he may be a little too trusting because if I remember correctly, she's thrown him under the bus before.
Right. No, guys were talking about that before when I was talking with the USA Today guys. It was, this woman is constantly going after him and looking to get quotes and sound bites. And then she got him in an interview. And I think once he gets started, he's a younger guy. He kind of forgets where he is. Yep. He gets comfortable, and then he starts talking about certain things, and he shouldn't have been talking about.
Exactly, and I feel like she almost sets him up, and she's trying to make a career on his back.
Right.
So
when he's on the property, in New Jersey here, he doesn't say anything. I mean, he's a true blue teammate and everything else, but once he gets, into a different element and he starts hanging out with showbiz people, people start telling him, oh, you should be this and you should be that and, you should be as good as this guy and you should be, he's already got the money.
Yep.
Okay. He's getting, he's gaining a lot of yards. He's breaking records every game. I mean, the only thing he's not doing is winning, and that's a team thing, and he should concentrate on that.
And I would have to think that he meant well. I'm assuming, like he mentioned in the post-game press conference that, hey, this is his first time stepping into this leadership role. He wants to take it, he wants to take it seriously, but, he probably, probably should have, framed it differently. And he said that, but he did say, hey, I'll take the responsibility for that. So I'm not killing him. He's under the microscope all the time. So everybody finds something wrong with what the guy does. I'm sure LT and Strahan and Shockey and those guys had issues with that too. But I don't know.
Absolutely. Shockey was always shooting his mouth off. Strahan on occasion when he was frustrated. And Taylor, Taylor didn't say a whole lot, but when he did, it was like, no, it was newsworthy.
Yeah. So I listen, he performs on the field. He's still having, people are killing him for dropping the ball. One, the guy made a great defensive play on the one in the end zone. He dropped that.
The 4th and 3 one went right through his hands.
Went right through his hands. But listen, I can't.
That was a killer because they were on the 39-yard line.
Yep.
He catches that, they're going to score. That's a scoring drive right there.
Yep, no doubt. But I'm also from the point of view of one, we can't depend on Odell to do everything for this team. There's there's 10 other guys in the field, and then also, Jerry Rice didn't catch every ball either. So
no.
It's just, it is what it is. The guy is performing. He made some crazy catches too on some really crappy passes from Eli.
Yes, he did, and he threw a touchdown.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess my take on what he said was, if it galvanized the team, if it brought the team together because he called some people out, so be it. Because I will tell you, this is not a complaint, but Up until the post-game press conference, I thought Pat Shurmur was a pretty even-keeled guy, and he might not be rallying the troops or lighting a fire, but he was really prickly after the post-game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Somebody definitely, gave Mr. Shurmur a wedgie because he was fired up after the game about a bunch of stuff.
There was a couple of things that he was upset about.
Yeah, so I'm not.
So by the time he got somebody asked him about Odell, he was already hot. So
exactly. So I'm not killing Odell. Okay, did he need to say it? Probably not. Did it work? It was the best game that they played to date, win or loss. I mean, they actually showed some piss and vinegar, and they fought and they scrapped, and they made plays. I mean, they were down 11 points, and next thing you know, bang, they're winning. So that's old vintage Eli, and that showed a lot of moxie. So I'm cool with it. So it'll disappear, and I don't think it'll make a difference. I think going forward, he'll do a better job, and maybe he's a little bit of a slow learner.
Yeah. All right, we got about 10 minutes left here. So let's talk about, you wanted to talk about if you were starting a team, which 11 guys you would pick.
Yeah, I will, you could either do player or position.
Okay. You tell me yours. I don't really have any preference.
All right, so I'm going position.
Okay.
And my first draft, I'm always going to build my team around my quarterback, right?
Right.
I think that's pretty much a staple.
Sure.
Number 2 is a defensive end. I need a pass rush.
Right. So now you're going the Cleveland Browns route, but they did it the other way. Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield.
Yep, exactly. Number 3, I need a left tackle.
Yes.
So
those are the 3 most important positions on a football team.
All right. Number 4. This one is a little bit different because I actually think they are equal in value. You may laugh at me a little bit, but I think they counteract each other. And that's the cornerback and the wide receiver. Because if you got great wide receiver, you need a great cornerback. If you got a great cornerback, you need a great wide receiver. So I tied number 4 with wide receiver and cornerback.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Number 5, I went with a guard.
Offensive guard, sure.
Yep. Number 5, I went with a guard because I got to build my O-line. Number 6, I went with a right tackle. So he's right in the middle. Number 7, I went with an inside linebacker. If you got a guy like Luke Kuechly, or like Bowman was when he played for the Niners.
Yep. You need a guy like inside. That, sure.
Yep. Number 8, I went tight end. If you can get a dynamic tight end, like a guy like Kelsey or Gronk, it almost takes the pressure off having a great third wide receiver.
Right. Okay. That's good. You're doing good so far.
All right. Now, number 9, I have another tie. All right. Number 9, I tied the running back with the center. I think I need to anchor my line because he's the quarterback of the offensive line and he opens up those holes. But I also, at this point, I think I need a running back. So I was torn between that because I don't want to put running back down the bottom. And I definitely didn't want to push the center too far down. So I tied number 9 as running back and center.
Okay.
All right. Number 10, I went with a safety.
Wow. Okay.
I know. And number 11, I went with an outside linebacker.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, outside linebacker, depending on the type of outside linebacker. Is he a 3-4 or 4-3?
Yeah, if he's if depending on what D you're playing, if he's a rushing linebacker, then he probably is as valuable.
A little more valuable, yeah.
Exactly. So, you have any thoughts there?
No, I think that's perfect. I mean, that's how you would build a team, and I think that's all the great teams we've seen. They've had all those priorities.
The safety's the only one I couldn't quite figure out.
Yeah, it's a more valued position than number 9 or number 10, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I have it at 10, and I'm thinking well, where would I put him? I'm like, maybe I could swap it with the inside linebacker. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes they're the same player. It depends. Sometimes you have a defense, they have a safety that plays up in that inside linebacker position. in the
la
box.
Landon Collins.
Yeah, and Deion Buchanan under Betcher in Arizona last year was called a money backer. They made a linebacker out of him. He was a safety, and he weighed about 225, and they made a linebacker out of him because of where he played, not because of his physical attributes. He was a big safety, but where he played. That's pretty much what Collins has been doing. But
Or
yeah,
Cam Chancellor, maybe?
somebody like that. Yeah, big guy like that. A bigger player. Yeah, those guys especially. If you have a guy with those kind of physical attributes, and there's not too many of them, by the way, you can use them that way. Most teams just can't say, "This. We're going to have this position, and we're going to try to find a guy." No, you got to find the guy first, and then create the position.
You have a list?
No, I don't have a list. I hadn't really thought about it. I don't know which players I would take. When it comes to a quarterback, I'm kind of torn because, Brady is always going to be on everybody's list. But I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league anymore.
You're leaning towards a Matt Ryan or a Goff?
I don't think Ryan is. I don't really hold a lot of credence in some of these guys because they can't take teams on their back. The one guy I thought might be the best quarterback in the league or the most valuable quarterback in the league is Andrew Luck, because when he's not there, the Colts cannot win a game.
So
they don't win at all.
You probably would think the same thing then about Rodgers because they can't win without him either.
Yeah, that's another guy. Their whole team is that guy. Without Rodgers, the Packers don't win.
Defensive end?
Defensive end. I love defensive ends. You know that. I like Vic Beasley. I don't know if he's qualifying as a defensive end or an outside linebacker. He wears number 44, so I don't really know where he lines up most plays. But I like him the best right now. I think he's a tremendous player. He was all over the field.
Okay. Left tackle.
Oh, left tackle. I was partial to Jay Conklin for a while. Then he got hurt. I'm not really sure. Joe Thomas is gone. Some of the other guys, I'm not. There's a lot of guys with similar attributes. I really don't know who I would take there.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver? Well, the most talented wide receiver in football, I don't care what anybody says, is Julio Jones.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's the kind of guy who catches contested balls. That's what makes him so good. You can't cover. Even if he's covered, he catches the ball. He's been getting hurt a lot. I think that teams double him every game now, maybe even more than double him. And they have Calvin Ridley now, so they kind of spread the ball out a little bit. But, he gets the most targets. I mean, Antonio Brown gets a lot of targets too. But
he had 21 targets last week.
Yeah. So, so does Odell. But if I was picking, I would have to take Jones because of what he can do, the entire field in the red zone. I mean, in the red zone, do you go to Antonio Brown in the red zone? If you're if you're on the 10-yard line, do you throw it to him?
No.
So you're in the red zone, you throw it to Julio Jones, though.
Cornerback.
Corner? Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones. I liked Talib for a while. I don't like his attitude, but I liked him. I thought he played well. The kid that just came up with the Browns, they just drafted, I like the way he plays. Their first-round pick, one of their first-round picks. What's his name? Boy, losing my mind here.
He was their second-round pick.
Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
He was their second pick in the first round. He was the fourth overall pick. The Ohio State kid, I like him. Another Ohio State kid I like, Eli Apple, playing very well.
Yeah, all right, giving Apple a little nod there. All right.
I like the way his physical. He caused a fumble last week. I mean, he's just. They're not throwing at him, so you don't know he's out there because he's got his guy.
I'm a little partial to Ramsey, but
I like Ramsey too. he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's a good player.
All right. Guard.
Boy, the guy the Giants missed out on, Andrew Norwell. They could have gotten him. That would have been nice.
Yeah, he's a beast, no doubt.
Yeah.
Right tackle.
I'm going to pass on that. I don't really know too many right tackles in this league right now that I would take.
That have value.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a lot of them are interchangeable. I'm not really...
Inside linebacker.
Kuechly, without a doubt.
Yeah, as long as he's not, in concussion protocol.
Yeah, well, the guy's a terrific player. I mean, just great.
I probably would go Sean Lee, maybe a second.
Sean Lee's very good too. Yeah, that's another guy. If he doesn't play, the Cowboys don't have a good shot at winning.
No, if Sean Lee's not on the field, they stink.
Yeah, they get
tight end.
Tight end, I would say Gronkowski, but Kelsey. I like Kelsey. Kelsey's the best receiving tight end right now, I think. Ertz is good too. Ingram is coming.
Oh, man, he drops the ball too much.
No, last game he played, he caught all 7 passes, and a touchdown. So he's getting better. He hangs on to the ball. He's going to be I'm not going to say he's going to be Tony Gonzalez, but he's going to be much better.
It's funny because I think if you're a guy who drops the ball, you're a guy who drops the ball. Like I don't. It's
let's see.
Yeah, because like Tiki Barber was a fumbler, and then Tom fixed him. So I'm hoping somebody fixes him.
Yeah, we'll see.
Running back.
Well, running back, I would take Gurley right now.
Over Barkley, just because of the body of work?
He's running behind a much better offensive line. But he has the patience. You could see when he gets the handoff, if the hole's there, he's gone. But if the hole's not there, he waits for it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He gets caught behind the line too. I mean, but he's much more patient than Barkley. And that's why I think that he's a better runner right now. And I think Kareem Hunt is a good runner too.
And Kamara.
Kamara to me is a traditional running back. He's more of a Sproles on. I don't want to say on steroids. He's like a Sproles energized. How's that?
Like a slasher.
A bigger Darren Sproles, which is dangerous.
Okay. How about a center?
Wow. Not sure who I would take. I like the Raiders guy, Pouncey. I mean the Steelers guy. A little long on the tooth now, but you need a veteran. I think it's always better to have a veteran there.
I like the center on the Eagles. Actually, I hate to say that, but
Kelsey.
Yeah,
he's good too. Well, we got his brother. Maybe we'll take him.
Right, exactly. All right, safety.
I like Collins. I still think if he's playing in a better, with a better partner there, he's as good as anybody.
Outside linebacker.
It's tough. It's tough for me to say. I like a whole bunch of guys. I like the guy Miles Jack on Jacksonville.
Oh yeah,
I think that he's very talented. Of course, Von Miller, guys like that. Guys that rush the passer, but guys that play a 4-3 outside linebacker like Jack.
Even Woodicall's having a great year. Clay Matthews,
yeah, good player. He's not allowed to hit anybody, but
yeah, no, he got hosed.
That's terrible. I don't even want to talk about that. It's not the game that I grew up with.
It's not even close.
I can't watch baseball anymore because that's not the game I grew up with either.
No, yeah, it's you're right. I mean, the ref. I'm sure we could have a whole other show about the refs, but it's disheartening to watch them change the game with these calls because if you get one, that's fine, but when you start racking up 3, 4, 5 a game, it's really hard to watch.
Well, the problem is if you hit a guy like Matthews hit, I forget who it was, Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
He gets a personal foul. He gets another personal foul. He's out of the game.
Yeah, so now you've changed the way he plays for the rest of the game.
Of course. I mean, he didn't do anything. He just tackled him. He tried not to hit him high, and he tried not to hit him low. But he hit him so hard that he folded like a banquet chair, and that was it. That's what, of course the guy goes down real fast. When you hit somebody in the midsection right above the hip, they're going down.
Especially if you weigh 255 pounds.
Exactly. So, you're trying not to hit in the head. They can't go for the legs. There's only one place you can go for. And when you hit a guy there, inertia is going to take its course. It's going to knock the wind out of that guy. It's going to knock him flying. And that's what's happened with Wynn the other day. Kerry Wynn, when he pushed, he just pushed a two-hand push on Cam Newton as Newton was releasing the ball. And Newton went down, hit his head on the ground. Oh, penalty.
Listen, the week before, I mean, you had two face masks. Barkley and Shepard got their heads ripped off. No call.
Yeah.
I don't know what these guys are looking at. It's really disheartening that the NFL is not they should be held accountable for something.
Yeah. Well, the Jerome Boger's crew. I don't want to see them in any postseason game after what happened last week. And Pete Morelli's crew is traditionally the worst in the league.
Who was the crew versus the Saints? Because they were
despicable. That was Pete Morelli's crew.
Yeah, they were despicable.
Bob Papa said on the air, it's time for Pete Morelli to retire. He said it on the radio as he was calling the game. I didn't hear it, but somebody told me that. And I believe it.
It's accurate because the back judge was making calls he had no business making. They were – I mean, I can't remember who the line – maybe it was Ray Armstrong. He came in to make a defensive play. He had his inside arm tucked against his chest. Mm-hmm. And his left arm, extended out to knock a ball down for a pass deflection. Right. And they called pass interference, and they showed it on the board that his inside arm was tucked, never touched him at all.
I know.
And they gave him a first down.
Yep.
Went down and scored.
Yep. That's two games in a row that there's a lot of game-changing calls against the Giants, but they're not the only ones that are getting the bone. I mean, a lot of teams are complaining about it. And, it's just bad officiating. And, they started to hire full-time refs this year. I think they hired 10 or 11. I got to look that up. But most of these guys are just weekend warriors.
But they're getting paid well to be weekend warriors, my friend.
That's true. And, the rules change every year, so you got to give them a break on that. But some of the calls that they're making are just they're not even within the boundaries of the rules anymore. It's just silly.
The horse collar call on Jenkins literally changed the entire momentum of the game.
Yes, it did. That was deep in Saints territory. And that gave them a first down and 15 yards.
They froze it up on the board. You could see Jenkins has got...
He grabbed him by the shoulder.
But right on the numbers, right on the cusp of the shoulder pad on the number. I know you don't want reviews on penalties. The games will be 6 hours long. But man, listen, not to get off the topic of football, but it was like last night watching the Yankee game. They had 5 or 6 reviews on first base. Yeah. You have to ask yourself, how is this possible? These guys are getting paid good money and they can't get the calls right.
Right. Hey, that's the way it goes. All right, we've been on the air a little bit too long. We're over, but that's okay. We can pick it up next time if you want. It was good talking to you again, Craig.
Yep, I appreciate it. Check out NYGiantsRush.com and listen to this podcast, which is The Giants Guys.
Yes, I will see you next time.
Thanks, John.
Okay.